I can tell you, if you go down to check my breakdown on academic aspect, you see that I've taught a school a lesson. If God is alive, I was born for a greater purpose. And that purpose is not for government to pay me or for government to give me anything fancy.
He had always dreamt of becoming a medical officer, some neurosurgeon, to do crazy things. As for him, he was so determined. He said, whatever it is, there has to be a DR. We used to call him DR against his name. So he opted to do doctor of optometry.
I was their biology teacher and he used to do very well in biology. Since then, Leonard has been in contact with some of us and until he got admission to do optometry at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
It's a promise he made since he was a child. He told me that mommy, that her occupation is doctor, to become a doctor. If she's well treated, I want him to go back to school and complete.
Trace, it could be the grandfather's time or great-great-grandfather's time, but it's still enmity between families.
33-year-old Nimwe Leonard Lanyele Leonard was born with a desire to impact lives and be a change agent. But his life has been full of cultural rhetoric.
So from Ghana Memorial JSS that I went to St. Francis Xavier, it's a seminary. We are trained basically as a good product for school and mother church. That's Ghana and then the Catholic Church. So as I'm seated, I'm a good Catholic, not to its practical point, but the faith. I believe in God. I've seen that life is long gone. My train has gone. That's what I'm saying. My life story is just full of cultural rhetorics.
Leonard completed Ghana Memorial Junior High School and went on to St. Francis Xavier Junior Seminary, where he studied general science in 2007. According to records, Leonard was a brilliant student who excelled academically at both junior and senior high schools. With an aggregate 8, he was the best performing student at Ghana Memorial Junior High School. A similar excellent performance was achieved at St. Francis Xavier Junior Seminary. He had an A in all subjects except biology, English, and social studies, which were B2, B3, and B2 respectively.
The other certificate is still the best grade of that same school. You see? This is 8, aggregate 8. And the other one is A2. You see, sometimes that's why I get bored when it comes to education. I've really done all, and nothing came out of it.
Leonard was part of the team that led his school to the quarterfinals of the National Science and Maths Quiz.
5 of us were chosen to represent the school at the National Science and Maths Quiz. Yes, for I think 2007. Usually 3 sits. Yes, he was actually part of the first 3. He was a genius, let me say that. You wouldn't see him reading the regular science books we do. He was always reading storybooks. He was so industrious. Chemistry, he was on top.
I'm not disappointed in myself. The person I'm disappointed in is the media. Because I've ever been on TV before, and it was a question I answered. The quiz mystery said I was wrong. I cried because I knew what I was answering.
In fact, if you get the opportunity to watch the videos, then you realize that he wept when we lost by just 1 point to Anglican, because he couldn't understand how we could just lose by 1.
Within the group, he was one of the main powerhouses of that squad. His strengths were mainly in the biology and then mathematics. He would hardly miss the maths question. The advert that the National Science and Maths Quiz used to roll in those days, there was a picture of the Xavier squad of that year, and then Leonard was in tears on screen. That was because they had just lost by the last riddle, and he just couldn't bear it, and he was in tears.
Leonard was known and addressed as a doctor at St. Francis Xavier Junior Seminary because of his outspoken aspiration to be a medical doctor. His admission to the University of Cape Coast was hampered because his parents could not afford the high tuition at the time.
I would have done medicine at Cape Coast, but at that time it was 41 million a year. My father is a teacher, a humble teacher. He's not NAGRAT. He's not. At the time he couldn't really pay for my fees. So I opted for Kenya University to do optometry. It's still the same doctorate. Not the PhD, I say, but the same practical medical doctorate.
During his first 4 years at KNUST, he performed well. But what has since become condition caught Leonard off guard in 2012.
There was this mental issue that cropped up. You see, that's why I keep saying the mental issue. Mental health itself in Ghana, you see, is not developed. So my situation is a hanging situation. I always want to help myself first. That is, I encourage myself, I'm sane. I never want to go back to the back days where they say I'm not sane. I'm sane. And my sanity doesn't mean getting paid for all this effort. This should have pay. That's why I keep telling Ghana. I don't know how you media, you present upfront issues like this. A student with this certificate, I was the best in the class. I can tell you that some couldn't even get half quarter of this, but they are teachers. What are they teaching people?
Here is Leonard's 60-year-old mother, Ninwe Gladys.
I just don't know the problem. Somebody was telling me that is a friend, that he had a friend in the school, and the friend sent him to their village, to their town. Then she came with this condition, that the friend was complaining that always Leo will take the lead and he will be the second.
Leonard was forced to take a break from his university studies in order to seek medical attention at the Pantang Psychiatric Hospital in 2013. Doctors diagnosed him with bipolar disorder 2.
There's a certificate hanging inside that dirty room, that empty room, that still holds the record. As a winner speller in Pantang, when I was even there, went for a quiz, I still won. Keep telling people, I'm sensible, I have my sense. I can teach a crowd.
Leonard later returned to the university in 2014 to continue his studies, but his stay was brief.
I think after a successful rehabilitation program, he was readmitted to the department to join us in our 5th year. By then I was in my 5th year training, so he became my course mate in the 5th year. He attended lectures with us for the first semester, and then wrote the first semester exams. Then he passed most. I think he only had a trail in French, which he had not attended of the lectures, and so could not really understand the language. But all the other courses that were run that semester, he was able to pass them. And then subsequent to that again, the second semester, he didn't surface for the semester.
I can tell you, if you go down to check my breakdown on academic aspect, you see that I've taught a school a lesson. You know the number pi? You've ever had pi? I know the one we are using right now is wrong. I've also approximated a lot of things. When I was at the university, I traced pi. I know pi. I know why pi is wrong. The current one we're using, is 3.142 or 22/7. It's wrong. I know. I've done a lot of work.
And so what is the correct one?
I've presented it at a conference the time I was in school at KNUST. You see, it's also on video. You see, so I don't know why people, when they see me, they think I haven't gone to school. I've gone to school. I have these certificates. If I go to KNUST, I say I want a certificate right now. That is the point. Who sent me there? You see, she's only a lady. Yeah, she has no work.
Both his senior high school and university friends are stunned by the turn of events.
And for me, it was disheartening because this is a guy I felt was very brilliant and he could have been a great resource to us.
Oh, this guy with all the, intelligence, with all the aspirations he had, he could be suffering and going through all these things. I felt very bad about it.
Many of Leonard's classmates are medical doctors, engineers, and other professionals. Leonard, given his circumstances, should have been one as well.
I am here at the Department of Chemistry at the University of Ghana to speak to Mr. Sistus Bayer, a former biology teacher of Leonard.
Leonard could be one of the best scientists or medical doctors in Ghana if he hadn't suffered that medical condition.
Gladys, his mother, says his son's predicament began when his 57-year-old father, Ninwe, died in 2011.
The father died. The father died 13th August 2011. So when Leonard came, he was not for himself. He even didn't want to see me. I collapsed. Immediately I saw Leonard in that condition. I collapsed. Before I realized I was in the hospital. After 8 days, they discharged me. I came home and Leo said he will not stay with me. That I'm looking straight, that I'm just looking like something.
Leonard promised his mother when he was a child that he wanted to be a doctor, but that dream appears to have been dashed today. So what does Leonard want?
I want peace. I respect my mother, that is a responsibility. I respect humanity, that is still also a responsibility, you see. What I expect from my family, I expect care itself. To manage such a patient is not easy.
Leonard says he will return to school if the opportunity comes again.
If I get the opportunity, I'll go back to school, but I don't want it a tall cry again. I don't want it like, I just want a simple course, community, health nursing, teachers training college, something like that, so that I can just find a simple idea and help my colleagues. I know how to help. I really know how to help.
I want Leonard to go back to school because it's a promise he made since he was a child. He told me that mommy, that her occupation is doctor, to become a doctor. So she wants to be a doctor.
Friends, family and colleagues believe Leonard was born great and that greatness is still alive if he receives immediate intervention. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.